What's up, everyone? And so today we are doing a reading for what does your childhood self think of your current crush? So this was actually requested by a massive sweetheart. So I am actually really excited to do this reading. Um, though it may be a bit shorter than I'm used to because I'm not feeling all that great. I'm a little bit under the weather. But I did want to get this reading out. It's also the last request that I have on the list of requests that I had. Separately, and kind of in that same vein, I guess, I usually don't do like childhood self or shadow self or higher self readings like that. They just don't get requested very often. If you would like more of these kinds of readings, please let me know. If you like this kind of stuff, please let me know. Anyway, as I was saying, we're going to be doing a reading for what does your childhood self think of your current crush? We're going to have 4 piles. And for pile number 1, it's going to be the Jack of Diamonds. Pile number 2 is going to be the Jack of Hearts. Pile number 3 is going to be the Queen of Spades. And pile number 4 is going to be the Ace of Spades. The 8 of Spades. Not the Ace of Spades, the 8 of Spades. And for the collective, I've got the Jack of Spades. Lots of spades right at the end there. The Jack of Spades is also indicative of Gemini. And so I'm getting really fun, flirty energy from your childhood selves as a collective already. Gemini is indicative of like daily communications as well. Your childhood self thinks that you should reach out more or initiate contact more with your crush. Collectively, your childhood selves think that you should reach out to your crushes more. And I'm getting specifically like social media or text messaging or emails, like electronic methods of reaching out. Anyway, so for our piles, again, we've got pile number 1 with the Jack of Diamonds. Pile number 2 with the Jack of Hearts. Pile number 3 with the Queen of Spades. And pile number 4 with the 8 of Spades. Alright, and starting off with pile number 1 and the Jack of Diamonds. My eyes freaked out a little bit right there. I don't know what happened. I heard already, though, be careful what you wish for is coming up now. But before that, it was, don't judge a book by its cover. I'm getting really sassy energy. This is definitely like a sassy childhood self. It's cute. It's definitely very cute. The Jack of Diamonds is also indicative of Virgo energy. And so, but I think what your childhood self and your current self have in common is that you believe this person is a hard worker. At the very least, you believe this person is very thorough in their work. Your childhood self, your current self might think so as well, but your childhood self definitely thinks that this person moves too slowly, though. I'm getting the energy of wanting your crush to approach you or wanting your crush to initiate contact with you. And your childhood self is far more direct, is what I'm getting. This is... Alright, and we've got the 9 of Wands. Yeah, your childhood self wants you to reach out, though there is an understanding here of why you wouldn't want to or what your reservations would be. The Nine of Wands is traditionally indicated by a man with a bandaged head, right? There's this sense here that your childhood self is aware of the fact that, like, putting yourself out there and risking rejection is difficult. It's hard. But I don't think that your childhood self cares much. Very brazen, very bold, very sassy energy. I really like this energy, actually. I was a really timid child, but I always wanted to be more brazen and more bold. All right, what more can we know, please, about what your childhood self has to say about your current crush? So what does your childhood self think about your current crush? For some of you, there's I heard the word geek or nerd, like, in a good way, I think, but your childhood self, again, I'm getting a really sassy vibe. Your childhood self is being very playful about it. Like, this, your crush is a little bit of a geek, a little bit of a nerd in some capacity, and your childhood self finds it cute in, like, a really cute in a very sassy way. I get the sense of, like, someone who would tease someone for something just very, very playfully, like out of a very, very kind place. And we've got the Hierophant. So the Hierophant traditionally is in relationship terms, the Hierophant refers to a traditional marriage or a traditional relationship in that kind of capacity. Your childhood self is definitely giving you the go-ahead already off the bat. The overall blessing to be with this person or to give this person more of your time in a very serious way. When you were a child, you might have been, and I am getting, like, child, like, under the age of 10. You might have been known for being a very serious child, or you might have been told that you're someone who acts very mature for your age, or is very old soul. That might be something that you heard quite a bit when you were a kid. That's definitely coming through. That energy is coming through here. It's very mature energy. Your childhood self is this is the same kind of energy as your childhood self being aware of the fact that rejection is difficult to face, especially as an adult, when you've faced rejection before and you know what to expect. Your childhood self is very, very mature, and much the same way where they understand that rejection is scary, they also understand that grown-up relationships lead to things like marriage and things like families. I'm getting, like, 10 of Cups energy. And your childhood self is giving you the blessing and go ahead for that kind of serious relationship with your crush. And we've got the Three of Swords. Now, your childhood self is telling you not to change for your crush. This specific story, I can't remember what the story was called, but the details of it are that this was a woman who was part swan, I believe. She was part bird. And she was shearing off parts of her feathers to pay for the lifestyle her and her husband had. He had no idea that she was part bird. And she was doing this all in secret. He catches her one night, and it ruins their relationship, right? The moral of the story is supposed to be, obviously, don't keep secrets from your spouse. Your childhood self, however, is taking it in the terms of someone who is changing for someone else. You have a very, very confident childhood self. I love this energy. Your childhood self thinks that you deserve the world and that you should not be changing for anyone. Someone should be very, very pleased and very, 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 very honored to be the focus of your attention. It's very cute. Your childhood self is so proud of how you've grown up and so proud of who you've become. It's amazing energy. And we've got the King of Wands reversed. What I'm getting is, regardless of how you identify, you're coming through as the Queen of Wands to match the King of Wands here. But the King of Wands in reversed is indicative of being on top of them as far as, I don't want to say social hierarchy goes, but that's kind of the term that's coming to mind. Again, your childhood self is just very dominant in nature. I think that your childhood self is just very confident in who you are and very proud of who you've become. And they are here to remind you of the fact that you should be proud of yourself too. And you should be proud of how far you've come too. And the Ten of Cups. I think I mentioned the Ten of Cups. Yeah. But again, your childhood self, regardless of how much they want you to remember who you are and that you should have power in this relationship, your childhood self is coming through strong with blessings here. Ultimately, your childhood self really likes your crush and thinks that there could be a very serious future here. There's strong traditional family vibes here. And so, especially if you're someone who wants a more traditional relationship, that's where your childhood self is leaning as well. There's a lot of copacetic feelings there. And we've got the Ace of Wands. I'm hearing write your story together. Your childhood self might be sassy, but your childhood self is also very, very romantic at its core, or at their core. This is the energy of wanting to write a romance story, wanting to write a love story. Your childhood self is very excited to see where you go in this relationship, where this relationship takes you, how things end up for you and for this person who you're interested in. They are watching with bated breath is what I'm getting. Your childhood self is very, very invested in your romance and in the romances that are coming to, and in the romances that will be coming towards your life, regardless of what they are. Your childhood self believes that you deserve the best and believes that you can build the best for yourself. And the Seven of Cups. Yeah, deserve the best. Your childhood self definitely believes that you deserve the best and that you deserve the best and that you can have the best. The Seven of Cups is all about options, all about different paths that you can take. Your childhood self has a lot of faith that you'll pick the right path. And because of that, they have there's very little doubt in your childhood self that you are going down the wrong path with your crush. We've got Lapras, beautiful voice, friendly, looking for love. Aww. So I'm actually getting that more in terms of yourself than your childhood self is far more focused on you than they are on the person that you're interested in. I'm getting strong reminders that you are a catch, that you're a catch. I think your childhood self, more than anything else, thinks that you should reach out. Beautiful voice. You should reach out in some method to communicate with your crush. And they're trying to hype you up. They're trying to really hype you up right now. All right, and we've got Porygon, good with tech, unique, and intelligent. So unique and intelligent comes through. Good with tech as well. Again, your childhood self thinks that you are very witty and very, very unique and that you should reach out. This is doubling down on that collective energy that we had before with the collective energy that we had before with your childhood self believing that you should reach out to your person or communicate with them in some way through like social media, text messages, even like a phone call would work with the beautiful voice from before. Like your childhood self thinks that you should reach out to your person. And we've got Taurus. Athletic, dedicated, often needs to blow off steam. So dedicated and often needs to blow off steam come to mind first, especially if you have been really worked up over the person that you're interested in recently. Your childhood self believes that reaching out to them and starting communication is the best way for you to blow off that steam and for you to really like get that weight off your shoulders. There's a sense here that you're very dedicated, that you are very, very interested in your crush and in this person that you've been interested in. And for most of you, this is someone who you've been interested in for a long time. This has been like an extended crush for you. Ditto. Adaptable, easygoing, and friendly. Adaptable, easygoing, and friendly. Your childhood self wants you to remember that you are a catch. You're a really friendly person. You are the person who you are interested in should be very, very lucky and should feel very, very lucky to have someone so nice and so kind and so friendly reaching out to them. Just be yourself and you will get wonderful returns. Your childhood self has all the faith in you. And we've got Seal. Adventurous, adaptable, and loves the cold. Now, adventurous pops out the most there because it's, again, your childhood self understands that rejection is very scary. There's a certain amount of fear that comes with rejection. And they just want you to know that you don't have to be afraid of it. Think of it more as an adventure. Like, you'll never know. Again, for a lot of you, this is a crush that you've had for an extended period of time. So your childhood crush is pushing you to really figure it out, or not figure it out, but really give it a shot, because you'll never know if you don't try. You know what I mean? Adaptable also sticks out there. It's the second time adaptable is coming out in a row here. Your childhood self is reminding you that you can adapt to whatever situation comes through, even if that situation is rejection. Even if your crush ends up not liking you back, your childhood self is telling you that you'll be able to brush it off. You'll be able to start over again. It'll be their loss. You're adaptable. You can overcome. Your childhood self has a lot of faith in you, has a lot of faith in your strength. You're a very strong person, and your childhood self is trying to remind you of that. All right, loves, that is what I've got for you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope it was fun. This was a fun reading for me. So I hope it was fun. I hope it was enlightening. I will see you next time. Bye. All right, and we are on pile number 2 with the Jack of Hearts. So the Jack of Hearts is indicative of Jack of Cups energy, or Knight of Cups energy. So that is Pisces energy. Already, this is very romantic. This is a very romantic, very dreamy feeling. You might identify as an artist. And you might have identified as an artist for like your entire life. Like you might have been a really artistic child. You might have been a child who daydreamed quite a bit, or was accused of daydreaming quite a bit, having your head in the clouds. That's definitely the energy that's coming through here. I'm getting the energy of like drawing on the edges of like folder paper, on the edges of notebook paper while you're in class, like doodling, that kind of thing. Your childhood self is rather distracted. Your childhood self is in agreement with you. However, your childhood self already, I'm getting the notion, is quite enamored to your crush. Your childhood self agrees that your crush is definitely someone worth being around. All right. What more can we know, please, about what your childhood self has to say about your current crush? What does your childhood self have to say about your current crush? All right, we've got the Queen of Coins. Now, the Queen of Coins is Capricorn energy, and Capricorn energy is very long haul energy. Your childhood self thinks that this is the kind of relationship that has length to it, or like longevity to it. Your childhood self thinks that this could be a really healthy long-term relationship. Your childhood self also thinks that this person will take care of you, regardless of how they identify. They are coming through as the Queen of Pentacles here. Very, very nurturing energy, very, very like almost maternal, paternal energy. You know what I mean? Someone who really wants to take care of you, someone who really wants to nurture you. And I'm getting that that might be why your childhood self is so enamored with this energy as well. Again, it's not overly shocking, I guess, that like your childhood self would be very interested in a person who they feel could take care of you and could nurture you like that. And I'm getting would give you space to indulge in your childhood self. You know what I mean? Would give you space to not have to be quite so grown up all the time, and not have to be on the lookout in that regard all the time. And we've got the King of Swords. Now, the King of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles, a king and a queen, regardless of how you identify, your childhood self believes that this is a very good match. A very, very good match. Regardless of how you identify, you are coming through here as the King of Swords. The King of Swords is very diplomatic energy. There's something very diplomatic about that energy. Your childhood self believes that your crush would be very, very supportive to you and for you in regards to your dreams, in regards to your goals in life. Your childhood self very much thinks that your crush would support you through them and allow you to grow and allow you to shine. And it is interesting, regardless of how you identify, that you are coming out here as the king, because queens traditionally support kings. You know what I mean? Your childhood self very much thinks that your crush now will support you in any kind of endeavors that you have going on, any kind of dreams or goals that you have in your heart and in your mind, especially in regards to dreams or goals that you may have had since you were a child. I'm getting strong Six of Cups energy here. Very strong Six of Cups energy here. Any goals, any dreams that you might have had since you were a child, since you were very little, there is a sense here that your childhood self believes that this person will allow you to obtain those. So your childhood self feels very supported, from the nurturing aspect to the fact that this person will support you through any dreams you might have had since you were a child. Your childhood self just feels very supported by the person who you are interested in, or it feels like the person who you are interested in would be very supportive of your childhood self as well. It's very, very interesting. It's your childhood self also seems to have a crush on your crush. Like, it doesn't, you don't only have their approval, you have their agreement. And we've got the Queen of Swords. Now, another queen coming out here. And a queen coming out here to match the King of Swords. Now, that doubles down on the fact that, one, regardless of how you identify, both the King and the Queen of Swords are coming through as you right now. It doubles down on the fact that both your current self and your childhood self are very, very equally matched here. You're in strong agreement with the fact of who you are interested in. All of the swords also is indicative of the fact that your childhood self thinks that you should reach out to this person. This is the same energy that was in the collective for the group. And so it's not super surprising that it's coming up again, but your childhood self thinks that you should reach out to this person. Your childhood self definitely thinks that you have a shot and thinks that you could potentially have a very serious relationship with this person. Two queens can also indicate a little bit of jealousy. It's so interesting. I'm getting the note that, like, your childhood self is a little bit not jealous, because it would be weird for yourself to be jealous of yourself, but something close to that. I'll see if there's a different way for me to describe it, or if I can think of a better way to describe it. Your childhood self wants your current self to reach out to this person and try it, because your childhood self wants a chance as well. And the High Priestess coming out. Yeah, very strong agreement. If you have been recently feeling like a real push to reach out to this person, or like a real extra intuitional, an extra push in your intuition to reach out to your crush or to initiate communication with your crush, know that it's your childhood self coming through and trying to get you to. This is your childhood self trying to push you in that direction. Intuitively, I'm getting you have been getting these kinds of, like, messages recently. Know that it is your childhood self. And I'm getting probably, like, higher self is coming through here as well. Like, your intuition is very sharp right now. With all of the court cards and the High Priestess coming out, your intuition is very, very sharp right now. And so know, as a separate remark, even from what we're reading for right now, know that you are being guided to reach out to this person, likely because there's something there. Some kind of, at the very least, some kind of lesson there for you. Yeah, and the Fool. Some kind of new path. There's something new for you there. Something is meant for you there. And your childhood self is trying to guide you there as well for that exact same reason. And the Moon. The High Priestess, the Fool, and the Moon. All of those are very, very strong intuition cards. There's also a sense here that you might have been having issues sleeping recently. These are all just signs of, like, a very strong pull in your intuition. If you've been being drawn towards your person, if you've been being pushed to communicate or start communication with your person, this is your confirmation that you should take the chance. You should reach out. You should try something, or try to initiate something. All right. What more can we know, please? What more can we know, please, about what your childhood self has to say about your current crush. What does your childhood self have to say about your current crush? And we've got Psyduck, chronically underestimated, comes through in a pinch, loyal. So, and I'm seeing a trend here with these cards just in general. This is about you more than it is about your crush. Your inner child is trying to hype you up. Your childhood self is trying to hype you up here. Chronically underestimated. You're underestimating yourself. Any restraint that you have, or not restraint that you have, but any doubts that you have in yourself, any doubts that you have in your worth or in your abilities, know that you're underestimating yourself. Your childhood self feels like you have so much to offer and like you would be such a catch. They don't see why anyone would turn you down. Like, your childhood self doesn't seem to have any kind of... Your childhood self doesn't see that as a possibility, basically. Your childhood self has a whole lot of faith in the fact that someone as good as your crush, someone who they believe is as good as your crush, would also see the value in you. You are underestimating yourself, and you're underestimating what you have to offer. And we've got Geodude, kinder with age, fitness enthusiast, strong. Kinder with age. Your childhood self is saying very directly that you have gotten better with age. That is a huge compliment coming from your childhood self. Your childhood self thinks that you've just gotten better with age, that you've only gotten better, that you've only gotten brighter. It's hugely complimentary. That's why they don't understand why you would hold yourself back, and that's why they can't even comprehend of the person that you're interested in not also being interested in you, or not also being very flattered that you're interested in them, because you've only gotten better with age. And your childhood self, I'm getting, isn't like self-deprecating. Even if you were the kind of child who wasn't super confident in yourself, I'm getting that, like, your childhood self, they're not trying to be self-deprecating right now. They think that they are great. They think that you were great when you were a child. You've just only gotten better with age. It's a compliment. And Sandshrew, thick-skinned, loves the sun, adventurous. Adventurous, you're being guided to reach out, to just risk it and reach out. Your childhood self thinks that you can have, or thinks that you will have really great rewards if you just give it a shot and reach out. Again, your childhood self just doesn't understand, or does not comprehend of a reality where this person does not reach back to you, where this person is not also very interested in you. Your childhood self thinks you're the shit. It's really cute. It's really, really complimentary. You came through in 3 separate royal cards and 2 major arcana cards. 3 major arcana cards. Your childhood self thinks that you are legit, thinks you are awesome. And we've got Vulpix. Beautiful, well-groomed, self-motivated. Yeah, beautiful, well-groomed, and self-motivated. Your self literally is motivating you right now. That is the whole point of the end of this reading, to hype you up and to remind you of the fact that you are a catch here. And you are definitely... You shouldn't be afraid, because anyone who would turn you down isn't worth it anyway. They should be able to see how worthwhile you are. They should be able to see what a catch you are. Alright, loves, that is what I've got for you. I hope it was fun. I hope it was entertaining. This was a whole lot of fun for me to do, so I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. I will see you next time. Bye! Alright, and we are on pile number 3 with the Queen of Spades. Alright. I'm getting, the word diplomatic is coming to mind. You have a very mature childhood self. A very, very mature childhood self. You might have been someone who identified as being an old soul, or you were told that you were very mature for your age when you were growing up. Your childhood self is very much still like that. Very, very grown up energy. Very, very, I'm getting justice vibes. Justice vibes. The Queen of Spades is indicative of Queen of Swords energy, and that's Libra energy. I'm hearing you get what you give. Yeah, you have a very, very mature childhood self. Your childhood self is trying to reason with you right now. This seems to have been... You guys have such cheeky childhood selves. That seems to have been the through for all of these readings so far. Your childhood selves are trying to convince you to reach out to your crush. They just think that you guys are the shit. They think that you guys are awesome. Your childhood selves don't see why you would hold back. Because anyone should be thrilled and complimented that you are interested in them. Your childhood selves are right. Alright. But yes, your childhood self right now is trying to remind you, or wanting to remind you, of the fact that you can only get what you give. So you should try reaching out. You'll never know what'll happen until you do. Your childhood self is very... Yeah, the Three of Swords coming out. Your childhood self is very, very cut and dry. They very much feel like if your crush is not interested in you, then it's their loss. Like, you can and will do better in that case and in that scenario. Your childhood self's a little boss. You might be someone who had to grow up really, really young or really quickly. Because I'm getting that reminder as well. Your childhood self is coming through with a strong reminder of the fact that you have lived through quite a bit and you've survived quite a bit, and something like your crush not liking you back, or something like your crush not responding to you in the way that you'd like for them to respond to you, it shouldn't even register for you after everything that you've been through and everything that you've survived. Your childhood self is just very cheeky. Alright. What more can we know, please, about how your childhood crush feels about your childhood self feels about your current crush? What does your childhood self have to say about your current crush? Yeah, you do have a very grown childhood self. The phrase I just heard was shit or get off the pot, which is a phrase I feel like I've never used in my entire life ever. Your childhood self feels like your crush is taking up valuable space in your mental energy and your life in general. And you should reach out if they're going to take up all the space. You have a very cut and dry childhood self. They very much feel like if this person is going to take up all of this energy, and if this person is going to be this big of a deal, then you should be reaching out to them and trying to initiate communication with them and trying to see what they have to say back. I just heard dinner and a movie. Like, ask them on a date. Your childhood self feels, regardless of how you identify, that you should ask them on a date, and you should try and initiate things that way. Very direct. You have an incredibly direct childhood self. no chill. Yeah, the devil, get all up in there, get all down in that energy. Your childhood self is telling you to indulge. Your childhood self thinks that, and I'm hearing have fun. Your childhood self thinks that you could have a lot of fun with your crush, thinks that you could have like a really fun kind of relationship with your crush. I'm not getting that your childhood self thinks that your crush is very serious or takes your crush very seriously, but your childhood self definitely thinks that you could have a lot of fun with them, definitely thinks that you could, I'm hearing blow off steam. That you could have a lot of fun and that you could blow off steam in this relationship and with this relationship. Yeah, the Sun card. The Sun card is depicted by a baby, actually, on a horse in the traditional Rider-Waite deck. Your childhood self thinks that you could really indulge in your childhood self. Like, and you have a very grown childhood self, so I'm not super shocked, but your childhood self seems to think that indulging in this relationship and allowing yourself to really have fun and really enjoy your crush and really enjoy being around your crush, it would also allow you to indulge your childhood self. It would make you happy in the kind of way that children get happy, basically. That kind of childhood joy, that kind of childhood giddiness. That's what your childhood self is trying to get you to indulge in with your current crush. And your childhood self feels like you can indulge in that kind of thing with your current crush. It's very supportive. Your childhood self is definitely very supportive of you and the crush that you currently have. And we've got the King of Pentacles reversed. This is hilarious. This is the second time that this message has come through in this reading. Your guys' childhood selves are hilarious. Regardless of how you identify, you are coming through as the Queen of Pentacles to match the King of Pentacles. Regardless of how they identify, your crush is coming through as the King of Pentacles. But the King of Pentacles reversed is indicating the fact that you have the upper hand. You have the upper hand. You are the catch. You are the one who your crush should be really, really happy, is interested in them. Your childhood self is trying to remind you of the fact that you are the shit. You are so awesome. You are such a catch. Your crush should be so, so, so humbled and thrilled that you are into them. And your childhood self thinks that... I'm getting that your childhood self thinks that your crush is the kind of person that will spoil you and will pamper you and will actually make you feel like they are the lucky ones for you being interested in them. It's why your childhood self is giving you the go-ahead, is giving you the green light, is so into this. And the Six of Cups. Yeah. Your childhood self thinks that your crush will help you realize some of your childhood dreams. Regardless of how big those are, regardless of how small those are, your childhood self is definitely coming through here with the message that they believe that your current crush will help you realize some dreams that you've had since childhood. And that's part of why they are so in support of this. That's part of why they believe that like childlike joy, that childlike giddiness is something that this relationship will actually be able to produce. Because your childhood self sees a whole lot of potential for dreams from your childhood and for hopes from your childhood to actually manifest within this relationship. Yeah, and the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is victory energy. Your childhood self feels very victorious. This crush makes your childhood self feel very, very victorious. And I think it's because, again, your childhood self feels that your current crush is someone who will treat you properly and who will treat you correctly. On top of that, I get the feeling that your childhood self is just separately trying to remind you of the fact that they're so proud of you. Your childhood self is so proud of you, thinks that you're amazing, thinks that you're awesome. Your childhood self is so, so proud of how they turned out. And that separate message is coming through really strong, at least at the end of your 5-card reading. Like, your childhood self, more than anything that they feel about your current crush, wants you to know that they are so thrilled with how you turned out. And the King of Wands coming through. Now, the King of Wands is indicative of Leo energy. More Leo energy. There's a whole lot of fire even in the Capricorn, even in the Devil card. There's a whole lot of fire coming through in your reading, and it's all surrounding you. You are on fire right now. Your childhood self sees you very highly. So he thinks very, very highly of you, is what it is. It's really, really refreshing, actually. Your childhood self wants you to remember that you have the spotlight right now, or that you should be taking the spotlight right now. I'm getting that some of you are performers, or some of you have been performers since you were children, or have wanted to be performers from the time that you were children. If that's the case, this is your confirmation that you have what it takes. Especially if you've been thinking about auditioning for anything recently, especially if you've been thinking about putting yourself out there in like that kind of regard or that kind of way recently. This is your confirmation that you should. Your childhood self thinks that you have what it takes, and your childhood self thinks that you should definitely put yourself out there. That might be why the Six of Cups energy came through as well. Your childhood self thinks that there's the huge capacity for you to be living out your dreams right now, is what it is. And your childhood self wants you to do whatever you need to do to live out those dreams. Yeah, some of you are definitely performers. Alright, what more can we know, please, about what your childhood crush has to say, or what your childhood self, I keep saying that, what your childhood self has to say about your current crush? So already, before I pull these, I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen, but what's been happening consistently with these cards is childhood selves have been taking the time to talk to you about yourself, and your childhood self has already been talking to you about yourself. So just as a warning, your childhood self might be done talking about your crush and on to talking about why you're amazing, and you should remember that when you approach your crush. And we've got drowsy, good listener, calm presence, unusual talent. Yeah, good listener, calm presence, unusual talent. Unusual talent sticks out the most there, but so does good listener. Your childhood self wants you to remember that you are a catch here, that you are talented, that you, and I'm hearing chronically underestimated too, like you're underestimating yourself. Your childhood self wants you to remember that you are the catch here, and that you are underestimating yourself if you don't believe so. Even if we're not talking about your crush, because that has definitely been coming through, your childhood self thinks that you have what it takes to really, really embody certain goals that you've been wanting, or that you've been angling for since you were a child. And for whatever reason, your childhood self is coming out very, very strongly to say that now is the time for that. Now is the time for you to really listen to yourself and really listen to your intuition and go for the dreams that you've been wanting to go for. And we've got Weedle, clever, self-sufficient, in tune with nature. In tune with nature, what I'm getting very specifically is intuition, in tune with yourself. Again, right now is a good time to follow your intuition. Your childhood self is guiding you very specifically to follow your intuition right now, and to follow wherever that takes you. And we've got Ditto, adaptable, easygoing, and friendly. Adaptable sticks out the most there. Regardless of where it takes you, regardless of what your intuition leads you into, understand that you have everything that you need to succeed. You have everything that you need to triumph and come out on top of whatever is thrown your way. And we've got Mewtwo, scientific, hyper-intelligent, and unique. Unique. You're such a unique person. Your childhood self wants you to remember that you have so many gifts to offer. Not just your crush, but everyone else that you come into contact with. All right, loves, that is what I've got for you. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I really enjoyed doing it for you. I hope it was fun. I hope it was entertaining. I will see you next time. Bye. All right, and last but certainly not least, we are on pile number 4 with the 8 of spades. So already I'm getting very shy vibes. This is the quietest, at least, of all of the piles so far as your inner child goes. Or your childhood self goes, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's funny. The Hermit card popping out. So one thing I can say for certain is that your childhood self definitely has a sense of humor. Letting me know that they are here specifically by telling me that they are keeping their distance is pretty hilarious in my opinion. The image I'm getting in my head right now is of like a little child, like a little kid hiding behind its parent, hiding behind their parent's legs and like peeking out from around the sides. You have a very shy childhood self. And we've got the Queen of Cups popping out already. Your intuition is on point right now though. Your childhood self might not be very loud for me or very talkative with me, but I'm getting that you yourself have been on point with your intuition lately. You have been very, very in tune with your childhood self and the decisions that you've been making recently. Which is an interesting message. The message coming through here most poignantly is that your childhood self doesn't need to talk through me and doesn't particularly want to talk through me. Because your childhood self is really, really in tune with you intuitively right now. And we've got the Knight of Wands coming out. But your childhood self is definitely telling you to enjoy yourself. Finally, we're getting messages, finally. Your childhood self is telling you that they really want you to enjoy yourself. I'm hearing the word adventurous. I'm hearing go out on a limb. Your childhood self thinks that you should take the chance. With your crush specifically. This is that same energy from the collective earlier. Your childhood self thinks that you should take the chance and take the risk and go for your crush. At the very least, try to open up some kind of like friendly communication with them. The Hermit card is also a card of not intuition, but a card of intuition, but specifically it's a card of meditation. If you really want to get in touch with your childhood self or any higher version of yourself or any inner version of yourself, your shadow self, your higher self, your childhood self, like if you were needing to find that kind of centering at any point recently, meditation is probably something that would work out really, really well for you or be really, really useful for you right now. I'm feeling very restless too, especially if you've been dealing with like restlessness, especially if you've been dealing with like any kind of like agitation or anxiety. As always, I am just some guy. I am literally no one. But if you have been feeling like mentally uneasy lately, you're definitely getting the message here that like meditation might be really useful for you. Yeah, and the Hermit card popping out one more time while we're talking about that. Meditation, definitely meditation. And if you're looking for, as I was saying, your childhood self very much feels like they don't have to speak through me. They feel very, very in tune with you already. So if you were looking for like a more direct way to communicate with your childhood self after this reading or even during this reading right now, meditation is definitely a way for you to do so. Your childhood self, I think if you reached out, would definitely answer. without much hesitation, in fact. Yeah, we've got the Ten of Cups and the Devil coming through. Now, the Ten of Cups is very family energy, very, very in tune energy. Again, your childhood self very much feels like your childhood self feels very, very in tune with you as things stand already. The Devil card traditionally depicts both the devil figure, but also a man and a woman chained to that figure as well, indicating a level of balance, right? Your childhood self feels very, very in tune with you, feels very balanced and at ease with you right now. This is definitely the pile where your childhood self has the least to say about your crush at all. So this could potentially be the pile where if you don't really have like a super... If you don't have like a super specific crush, you're just kind of watching the video to watch it. This is definitely a pile that would probably make sense for you. If that's the case, thank you. I'm very flattered. All right. What more can we know, please, about what your childhood self has to say about your current crush? What more does your childhood self have to say about your current crush? That's really interesting. I was just about to say that I saw an ocean right when the Six of Swords popped out with its ocean. Your childhood self wants you to remember that you are deep. You are deeper than just the crush that you have. This is definitely already, this is an... Yeah, now that I'm looking at the other cards, yeah. Your childhood self cares very little about your crush, even if you do have a very specific crush. If that's the case, then maybe pick another pile as well. But this pile very specifically, your childhood self wants you to remember that you are incredible, that you have so much to offer. The Six of Swords, if you've been having mental anxieties recently, if you've been dealing with like feeling agitated or restless recently, your childhood self wants you to remember that better times are ahead of you, wants you to know that better times are ahead of you, that mental clarity is coming for you. The Seven of Swords, especially the Seven of Swords in this deck, is very strongly indicative of like imposter syndrome. Your childhood self wants you to know that whatever shadows might be on the wall scaring you, look at the coyote's face, right? Like, whatever shadows might be on the wall scaring you or punking you out right now, they're not real. They're just in your head. Any imposter syndrome that you might be dealing with, it's not real. You have everything that you need. You have everything. You're authentic. You're an authentic person. You have real things to offer. You're not fake. You're not faking it. Even if you are faking it till you make it a little bit. The 6 to the 7, and they're both swords even, you know what I mean? Mental clarity and mental growth is on its way to you. Your childhood self just wants you to continue to stick it out. The Magician coming through with all of that power, with all of that very godmother-esque power, right? You have so much power under your belt. You have so much that you have to offer. The Star card, your childhood self does not want you to lose hope in yourself. Your childhood self wants you to remember that you have so much to offer. If you've been, I'm getting really strong Nine of Swords energy. If you've been dealing with anxieties recently, if you've been dealing with not being able to sleep, with not feeling good enough, with imposter syndrome recently, if people have been making you feel like you're not enough recently, your childhood self is here to tell you that it's okay to be angry, and it's okay to be upset, and it's okay to indulge in your emotions. But remember to pick yourself up. Remember to keep going. Remember to continue moving forward. All right. What more can we know, please, about what your childhood self has to say? What does your childhood self have to say about your crush? What does your childhood self have to say about your crush? And the Six of Cups. Your childhood self has to say that your crush should help you realize dreams that you've had. Your childhood self wants you to focus on dreams that you've had since you were a child. Your childhood self cares very, very little about your current crush. The Six of Cups speaks of childhood dreams. Your childhood self wants you to focus on dreams that you've had since you were a child and wants you to focus on any goals that you've had since you were a kid. It wants you to indulge in your childhood self. And temperance. Temperance, especially this temperance, is indicative of healing. Your childhood self wants you to focus on your own healing, wants you to focus especially on any like childhood wounds that you might have or any wounds that you might have had internally since you were a child. Your childhood self wants you to focus on healing, wants you to focus on getting better through those situations and through those moments in your life. Very strong focus on yourself energy. Your childhood self really wants you to focus on yourself. Yeah, and the Seven of Swords coming out again and landing right at the center of your 5-card spread, especially if you've been dealing with imposter syndrome lately. Your childhood self wants you to know that those shadows on the wall, they aren't real, they're not there. You have everything that you need. You have everything that you could possibly need to move forward and succeed. You don't need to be afraid of any shadows that might come creeping around the walls, any shadows that might come creeping and crawling around. You have what it takes. And the Nine of Coins. Now, the Nine of Pentacles is a very strong tender garden energy. Again, your childhood self just really wants you to focus on yourself. More than anything else, more than any other message, your childhood self really wants you to focus on yourself and your own personal healing and your own personal goals. It's not necessarily to say that your childhood self doesn't want you to go for your crush. Your childhood self wants you to be happy. More than anything else, your childhood self really, really wants you to be happy. But your childhood self specifically thinks that happiness for you will be found more so in going after the dreams and goals that you've always had. Your childhood self wants to be more of a part of your life, is what I'm getting. Like the goals that you've had since you were a kid, the dreams that you've had since you were a kid. Your childhood self wants to be more present in your everyday current life. And the Sun card. Yeah, your childhood self wants to be more present in your waking hours in your everyday life. The Sun card traditionally is depicted by a child on a horse. It's about giddiness. It's about the joy that comes with being a child. It's about the childhood joy or childlike wonder. You know what I mean? Your childhood self wants to be more involved in your life on a regular basis. It's really sweet. And the Page of Coins, literally a page, literally a child, and the hardest working of all of the pages too. Your childhood self thinks that you should focus on your dreams. Very little interest in your crush. Your childhood self thinks that you should focus on your dreams. All right, real quick. What more can we get, please? What more can we know about what your childhood self has to say about your current crush? And we've got Ghastly, unusual sense of humor, loves to have fun, loves horror media. I'm getting that you're very unique. Your childhood self wants you to remember that you are very unique. And in regards to your crush, your childhood self wants you to remember that you are such a catch. Regardless of anything and regardless of who your crush is, your childhood self wants you to remember that you are such a catch. You're the one who they should be they're the ones who should be so stoked that you are interested in them. That's the sentence I was trying to get out. And we've got Meowth. Clever, smooth talker, heart of gold. Heart of gold is standing out most there. Your childhood self wants you to remember that you have a heart of gold. I'm getting worth your weight in gold as well. Your childhood self is so proud of you. Your childhood self is so proud of how far you've come and who you've become. Like, your childhood self is just super stoked that you are who they grew up into. And that's the message that they want you to take away from this video. If you take anything else from this video, or don't take anything else from this video, that's the one message that you should take, that your childhood self is so incredibly proud of the fact that they get to grow up and be you. All right, loves, that is what I've got for you. I hope it was fun. I hope it was entertaining. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I really enjoyed doing it for you. I will see you next time. Bye.